My mic has been muted the entire time, hasn't it? That's embarrassing. Hey everybody, how's it going? I don't have direct monitoring on, so I forgot I wasn't able to check whether or not my mic was unmuted or not, so that's pretty embarrassing. Um, anyways, now that that's resolved, welcome back to the stream. Today we're going to be doing a 2 Pomodoro work session. So what that entails is 2 50-minute sessions of work with some nice focus music and whatnot, and about 10 minutes of break in between those sessions, which involves an eye resting habit and a getting up and walking around habit. Just basic stuff to make sure you're nice and healthy. I also chat with chat. Love to riff about productivity topics, what people are working on, just, chatting for chatting's sake. And yeah, that's essentially what these streams consist of. At the end, I also try to give a productivity tip, usually pertaining to my own struggles, but in case someone brings something up, I can also riff on that. And yeah, so basically the way this is going to work is I'll walk you through these sessions and I'll chat with chat. Hopefully some chat actually turns out and whatnot. Anyways, now that I'm sure that my mic is actually transmitting audio and I've gone through that entire preamble a second time in a row, I am going to just walk through some of the basic tips that I normally give at the beginning of these streams. So what tips I usually give usually entails first, getting clear about what you want to work on. If there was anybody in live chat right now, which there isn't at the moment, I would ask them if they're comfortable to share what they're working on in either the live chat, to the YouTube chat or the Discord community chat. And the reason for this is so that you have to specifically announce what you're trying to work on. And that specificity can help make sure you actually execute on what you're trying to work on, which is really, really key for these focused work sessions. It also adds a bit of public accountability now that the actual thing you're trying to work on is out in the open and possibly viewable to a bunch of people. That gives you some social pressure to make sure that you keep working on what you're working on. And if there's other people around in the community, they can directly add some social pressure by just checking in with you during every break about how things went in your last session. If you don't want to share things live, or you're not watching live, as a lot of, actually, I don't know if a lot of people watch these as VODs, but as some of you may be watching as a VOD, if you can't or don't want to share live, then another thing to do is take a Post-it note. You can write stuff on this Post-it note, and you can post it in the top right of your screen. And if you do that, you've got the same specificity that you do when you typed it out, if you were to type it out into the live chat, and you got some public accountability depending on what other people are around you. So if you're, say, at home with others, having the nice bright Post-it note saying what you should be working on, and then having that in the corner of your screen can sort of pressure you to keep working on what you said you were going to work on, because if someone walks by, and they'll know you're screwing around if they see that what is on your screen is different from what you wrote on the Post-it note. So that works in some cases. It's not foolproof, especially during quarantine. Like, it'd be way more effective in, say, like a school library if you did that, but that's not really happening right now. So that's the best you can sort of hope for. Yeah, social accountability is a bit hard with social distancing, so I don't necessarily have a good solution for that, besides like joining live and posting live. But anyways, that's that. What else? Also, basic tips I always give at the beginning of these is to optimize your digital and physical environments ahead of time, like right now, before we start working, so that you don't have to worry about anything in your environment while we're working. So what does that mean? Specifically, what that means is if you have a task that you have to do on your computer, I assume most people do, then you should open up what programs and tabs you need that pertain to what you're working on. Like, do it right now. Set it up like right now so that you don't have to worry about that when the timer starts. This is basically to preemptively like remove all the friction that can be associated with starting your work. so that when the timer goes off, you just immediately start working. No setup required. Inversely, we want to do that. We want to do the is that inversely? Is that contrapositively? I need to look up my logic definitions. I don't actually know which one it is. Alternatively, that's not a great word either. Anyways, alternatively, okay, you forget the preposition. Or the adverb. The adverb. Forget the adverb that I'm trying to use here. On the flip side, that's a good one. On the flip side, you want to do the opposite for distractions. So for digital distractions, like ones you know are going to maybe draw your attention, so like Facebook, Reddit, YouTube, Instagram, what else can you access on the laptop? Tumblr? I don't really use Tumblr myself, so I don't really know if that's frequently a distraction for others. Twitter. Don't have Twitter open. Yeah. Close all those. Just close those tabs if they're open. If they're open and they're super easy to access, that's a distraction that's really difficult to ignore. So you want to add friction, okay? Like close those tabs. If you can, maybe even like remove them from your suggestions bar. Like try typing them in, and once the suggestion comes up in your search bar, just like click the X on the right side of the suggestion to like clear it. Because like the more friction you add to accessing those things, the less pull they're gonna have on you while you're working. And we want to minimize the pull that they have on you while you're working. So try to do that. What else? Same thing for your physical environment. So if you can relocate to a place where focus is more easy, so somewhere quieter, maybe somewhere less populated. If you're in a context where some rooms are very noisy with a lot of people and some rooms aren't, if you can control that, please preemptively try to control that. And yeah, so hopefully throughout all that rambling, anybody who's watching this was able to figure out how to set up their system or their environment such that they can get to work immediately once we start the timer. Hold on a second. Looks like turnout's quite low today. That's all right. A nice focus session is still a nice focus session, regardless of how many people turn out. It's always the actual threat of people turning out and not having me here that is honestly motivating me to keep coming and keep focusing and working. So it's all right if people don't come like a couple of times a week, because the possibility of them coming is still what motivates me, and hopefully motivates you to keep working. Even if you can't attend all of them, it's always here. People are sort of counting on you to always be ready to work on stuff. So maybe that gives you the same social accountability that it gives me to make sure you get some work done during the weekdays. Without necessarily being super, what's the word I'm looking for? Super coercive. Anyways, yeah, looks like turnout is going to remain very, very low for the time being. So why don't we get set up for our first session, and then we can begin. It looks like we're going to ride with 0 to begin with. But that's fine. I've only been doing this for like a month now, so like 0's fine. I understand. Like it's kind of boring watching random like streamer dude with no subscribers and no viewers basically just do work on camera. But I guess all study with me people sort of start out like that. Anyways. All right. So we should hopefully be all ready to go. Hopefully you've edited your environment in the way I recommended throughout all the rambling that I've just done, and you are nice and ready to get to work. So I'm going to make sure my music is all good. Just doing a quick flight check. Oh, that looks good. I'm going to do a quick check on the timer sound. Nice. All right. Nice timer sound. All right, cool. Looks like we're all ready to go. Hopefully you're all ready to go as well. I'm going to start the timer. I'm going to start the music. And we are going to start working. So good luck, everybody. I hope this first session is nice and productive, and I will see you on the other side of it. Okay, that is the first session done. So good job for everyone who's been following along. All right, I'm going to turn those on. Yeah. So that is our first session done. We will do a quick 10-minute break where I'll walk through some good habits to make sure the break reinforces some healthy habits, especially pertaining to resting your eyes and making sure you get up and walk around during your breaks between Pomodoro sessions. So, and by the way, for those of you who are new, chatting works both through the YouTube chat and through the Discord community. Okay, cool. Yeah. No, I mean, like, working through most of the Pomodoro is still fine. Working through any part of the Pomodoro is still fine. So long as you make that intentional effort to get some work done. So yeah. First things first. Like with any break we do on these streams, I want to reinforce the eye rest habit. So what I want you to do, if you're watching this either live or watching this after the fact as a VOD, is to find an object that is safe to look at that is 6 to 7 meters away or farther. In American units, it's about 20 feet away or farther. Make sure it's safe to look at, so no like blinding lights, don't look at the sun, like basic common sense disclaimers there. Something that you can stare at for a significant amount of time and it will not strain your eyes. In my case, I'm looking at the building across the street. You know, it's just a plain building. There's no like bright billboards that would strain my eyes or anything like that. And it's like 6 to 7 meters away, maybe farther, probably farther. So that's what I'm looking at. Hopefully, people who are following along with this iris habit have found something that they're looking at too. I'm going to set up a 1-minute timer so that we can start looking at the faraway object to rest our eyes for that 1 minute. All right, it looks like the 1-minute timer is set. Hopefully, you found an object to start staring at for the next minute. Obviously, I found mine. So yeah, I recommend you start looking at your object right now as I am about to start the timer. All right, the timer has started. Start looking at your object. Couple tips to keep in mind. You don't have to, depending on how far away the object is, you don't have to get the object perfectly clear in your vision. Don't strain your eyes trying to look at the faraway object. Just focus your attention on the faraway object and keep your eyes relaxed. They should be relaxing for your eyes. Additionally, make sure you blink. Staring at screens for extended periods of time reduces blink frequency, which can dry out your eyes, which can damage your eyes. So be conscious that you're blinking, but also don't overblink because that can also strain your eyes. Overall, just keep your eyes nice and relaxed. Make sure you're blinking and keep your attention focused on your object. Keep going until the timer goes out. There we go. All right. Let's see. All right, so we've got about I'd wager we got about like 8 or maybe 7.5 minutes so left in like that 10-minute break, just because I took a little bit to explain all that. So we'll say 7.5 more minutes on this break session. I realized at the beginning of the stream I actually didn't personally clarify what I was working on during the stream. I'm researching some topics for basically an immigration policy presentation for one of my classes. It's due on Thursday. It's just me basically reading a bunch of articles, maybe taking notes, and figuring out what I'm actually going to say for my section. Not sure what everyone else is working on, but hopefully all of y'all are making progress on whatever you're working on. Yeah, I mean, you know, if you're comfortable with it, feel free to talk about it in the chat. If not, that's fine as well. Yeah. I am enjoying the fact that there is some decent turnout too. That's always appreciated. By the way, if you want your chats to pop up on the actual screen, you can always go to the Discord community server using the invite link in the top left. become a member by accepting the rules and go to the stream chat channel. If you go to the stream chat channel and you start typing chats, they should pop up in the chat window here as well. So if you would rather visually see your chats pop up on the screen rather than on YouTube chat, then that's always an option. Again, hopefully things are going well. Hopefully your eyes are nice and rested, and hopefully you're getting stuff done during this first session. In terms of my first session, mine wasn't as productive as I wanted it to be, just because the topic is a bit more dense and difficult to figure out than I initially expected, but that's okay. I'm still making progress. I, for one, figured out that it's more difficult than I expected it to be, so that is progress. Yeah. Also, I do want to encourage everyone to get up and walk around during this break. So once we hit the 5-minute mark, I'll put up the be right back screen, and we'll all take a 3-minute break to walk around, maybe use the bathroom, maybe grab some water, and then return at the 2-minute mark to talk a bit more, update the overlay to track our progress, and get ourselves set up for the next session. So we got about 10 minutes or 10 seconds before we take a big break to get up and walk around. All right, so I'll see you guys at the 2-minute mark then. All right. Hopefully that break time, getting up and walking around was nice and relaxing. It's always good to get up and walk around, just because your body really isn't designed to sit in like that same position for extended periods of time. So getting up and walking around, helping the blood flow come back up from your legs back to your heart, is always healthy. Otherwise, you'll sort of get that I don't know if people in my audience have taken like long flights, like many hour flights. But yeah, that feeling of just the pain in your legs that happens from sitting in that same airplane seat for extended periods of time. That's what we're trying to avoid by introducing some of the time to get up and walk around during these breaks. Anyways, we got about 1 minute left. So I'm going to quickly update our overlay to keep track of our progress as a group to so that we can keep building towards improving how much we get done during these streams. So let's see. It looks like we've definitely finished our first session out of 2 today, which is awesome. Thank you guys again for turning out for that. And let's see. We've got, I think, 2 viewers in the audience, I want to say. So I think that makes our group total 3. So yeah, I mean that's a solid haul. If we keep this up with the same number of people, that's 6, which is very solid for a 2-person or for a 2-hour 2 Pomodoro session stream. All right, looks like there's about 20 minutes left, 20 seconds left in the actual break time. So I'm gonna start making preparations to set us up for the next session, and then we'll get back to work, and then we'll have another break and relax a little bit before ending the stream. There we go. All right, I'm gonna reset the music all the way back to the beginning of the track, and I'm gonna reset the timer to 50 minutes. There we go. It's all ready to go. So I think we're all good to begin our second session. So hopefully you're all nice and well situated and ready to start working on your second session. I'm going to start the music and the timer and turn off the break time elements, and we're about to go and continue our work. So good luck to everybody. I will see you on the other side of this next session. looks like that is our second session done. That went quite fast for me, honestly. But yeah, it looks like our second 15-minute session is done. So before I break down how my session went and chat with you guys about how your sessions went, first things first, I think we should get out of the way, as we always do, is doing our eye rest habit. So if you're still following along since the first break, please find, again, an object that is 6 to 7 meters away or farther that you can stare at for 60 seconds. If you need to find a new one, I would also recommend doing that right now, as I set up the timer in preparation for our 1 minute of staring at our object to rest our eyes. So I'm going to set up the timer for 1 minute. There we go. And additionally, I almost forgot, got to turn the break time overlay on. All right. So hopefully, if you want to follow along with the iris habit, that hopefully you found an object to stare at over the next minute. I have my handy dandy timer all ready to go. So please start looking at your object if you have one and you want to follow along right now. All right, I've started the timer. I'm looking at my object, the building across the street. Again, I'll just keep reiterating the same pieces of advice that I always give during these eye rest breaks. So, first things first, make sure your eyes are nice and relaxed. Don't strain your eyes trying to make the object you're looking at in perfect focus in your vision. Also, be conscious and be sure that you're blinking. You need to make sure that you're blinking because you've been staring at screens for an extended period of time, which can dry out your eyes by reducing blink frequency. Don't overblink though, that can also strain your eyes. So keep those eyes relaxed, keep your attention on the faraway object, and blink a little bit. We'll keep going until the timer sounds. There we go. All right. So I think that that signals the start of us wrapping up this study stream. Unfortunately, we this one is only scheduled for 2 hours rather than 3. That's just a function of my schedule, unfortunately. But hopefully, we all got a lot done. I know I did. I did a lot of research. Found a lot of interesting sources about and ideas about immigration. I think we have a total of 6 group Pomodoro sessions among the group, which is great. That's a very solid haul for only a 2-session day. I mean, sometimes that happens with 3-session days where it's just one other person in the audience and me. So yeah, I'm very pleased with how that turned out. Hopefully, all of your sessions turned out well as well. Again, if you want to engage, you're free to message YouTube chat. You're also free to engage on stream chat on the Discord. Both are valid. Both are appreciated. Anyways. Well, that's fair, but you did recognize they were done wrong. So that is something. Right? I mean, like, even, like, catching the mistake is actually the important part, right? Because, like, that is actually, like, learning, right? So really, like, I wouldn't actually frame that, Bob, as, like, a waste of time, because, like, you caught the mistake. I would argue it would have been more of a waste of time if you didn't catch the mistake and went through all that effort without realizing that you made the mistake. So yeah, I wouldn't necessarily agree with that assessment that it's not extremely productive. I would find that super productive, because that's just the process of review and learning and getting stuff out of your review sessions. Yeah, I guess it's a bit that's sort of like when it comes to math problems and whatnot and reviewing for STEM, that's sort of just the entire process of studying, right? Just like encountering problems, seeing if you can get them right, and if you get them wrong, then noting how you got them wrong and trying to not get those problems wrong in the same way in the future, which is just practice, practice, practice until you build intuition in whatever STEM subject you're solving problems in. So yeah, I know it's all part of the process. Yeah. So I think I usually end these with a productivity tip, but again, drawing a blank. Sleep deprivation definitely does not help in this case. Um, God, what do I even talk about? Uh, hmm, 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 hmm. Let's see. Well, I guess what I can sort of talk about is the fact that it's getting to be final season for a lot of students in the U.S. and people are sort of rushing to review things um, super last minute. I know I am definitely for sure in some of my classes. I guess a good piece of advice for situations like this where you walk into a semester knowing you're going to have an exam at the end, or at least knowing very, very, very well in advance that you're going to have an exam uh, at the end is basically like rather than it's better to review over a long span of time in very small bursts rather than in a very concentrated and large burst try to review things right before an exam. This is true of basic most subjects. Unless you have very, very good memory and the subject that you're being tested on is very memory dependent on you recalling things by memory pretty heavily. So um, the right way of doing things, I think, in my opinion, the right way of doing things to prep for an exam is to just integrate like exam prep into your normal conduct of taking notes and doing homework in a class. So what that essentially means, at least in my view, is that you should be thinking of when it comes to taking notes and when it comes to doing homework problems, you should be thinking of ways to turn that into ongoing exam prep. So, for example, a common thing to do that a lot of people in the productivity space recommend is you use something called Cornell notes. So, what Cornell notes are is essentially it's like your sort of linear form of note taking, like outline form that you normally engage in, right? Where you so teacher says a point, and you put like a bullet point, summarize what the teacher says in fewer words, in your own words, writing if possible. Uh, Also helps if you can draw stuff and make it easy to visualize. If they make subpoints, you indent and put subpoints underneath. Um, but you add prompt questions to each of those cases. So physically on a piece of paper, you divide the paper into like a third column, and you write. Oh, meditation. I can talk about that too. You write down prompt questions next to each concept you take notes of. The entire point of that just small extra step is super crucial because you've basically started engineering like prompt questions to review as you're taking notes. So it's like basically making review flashcards at the same time as taking notes, just so you don't, for example, have to spend like like a full day of the 3 or 4 days before the exam just making review note cards if you want to use note cards to review concepts. So things like that can really cut down on your review time basically by spreading out the review time onto your note taking and homework while you're following a course. The same thing can apply to homework as well. So basically, what you want to do for say problem sets is a good thing is to keep like a log or like some sort of repository of questions that you struggled with. Um, Basically, right? Those are the ones you're gonna have to review because you struggled with it to begin with, right? Those should be the priority ones you review by the time the exam starts coming up. So basically, having some repository of all the questions that threw you off, either in like a midterm exam or in like a homework that you got graded for, or just a problem that like perplexed you and you didn't really know how to solve, those are your like big red exclamation mark like problems that you need to focus on, because that's where you that's where you're weakest, and that's where you'll gain the most from actually reviewing, rather than spending your time going through the motions of a procedure you already know really, really well. That, for the most part, is just a waste of time. And yeah, ideally, you learn how to do those problems when you get them wrong, and then you do some spaced repetition. So maybe like a couple weeks later, you try redoing the problem again, see if you can do it again while not really remembering specifically how the problem is done. And then do it a bit longer after that. So like maybe 3 weeks after you try it again. And eventually, you keep reviewing that procedure until you start to get the intuition after practicing how to do it for many times. So that by the time the exam time rolls around, you're sort of familiar with those weak spots. You know what your weak spots are. You've practiced a little bit on your weak spots. And then when you get like a practice exam, you can spot out which ones are probably going to give you a hard time, and you know which ones are going to give you a hard time ahead of time. And yeah, I mean that basically preemptively focuses your review is the entire point of that. Yeah, I mean those are just basic tips. They're a lot easier to talk about than they are to implement. That's a whole nother story. I might make a video on that. Honestly, I'm not quite that good at implementing this type of advice into my system either. If you have problems with it too, I also do. So I guess I could make a video about me experimenting like on these different ways to see if how to easily make these viable. Because like, you know, if I had infinite time to take notes while a teacher is talking, of course I would do this. But sometimes teachers talk fast. Sometimes it's really hard to capture concepts down, and like doing this in real time takes way more effort than just like lazily, you know, transcribing what the teacher is saying. So I'll definitely in a future video try to experiment with ways of doing this, but doing this in a very low effort and easy way. And yeah, okay, meditation. Yeah, cool that you brought up meditation, Bob. I also meditate daily. Meditation is super, super helpful for some people. So, it does seem to be the case, at least from what I've seen. I'm not an expert on this, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. I'm just like a 20-year-old kid kind of just like rambling into a microphone. From what I've seen, meditation works for some people. It doesn't work for other people. It's kind of detrimental to some people as well. I guess that's like most things in life. Not many things uniformly work the same for everybody, and meditation is no exception to that. So meditation can be good because it helps you be conscious of the subconscious feelings and emotions you might be having that you're not consciously recognizing. The whole point of meditation is to concentrate on your breathing so you can notice what subconscious sensations and emotions take your focus away from the breathing. At least that's how it works with mindfulness meditation. You just close your eyes, you sit in a nice neutral position, and you just focus on your breathing. And anytime something pulls your attention away, you gently try to reorient your attention back on your breathing. So what you'll learn from that is essentially what things subconsciously in your mind are taking attention, like stealing your attention away from focusing on stuff, right? That stuff is important because then that allows you to notice what emotions you're feeling. It makes you more aware of it trains you to be more aware of what emotions you're feeling at any given time. Because a lot of times, you know, emotions like affect us, but we're not very conscious of when emotions are affecting us. It's actually, it's quite well understood that this is how humans work. It's the basis for a lot of psychology. It's a basis for a lot of behavioral science, behavioral economics, and whatnot. We're not highly rational, big brain like Vulcan, like Spock people. Like a lot of our actions are highly influenced by subconscious emotions that we're not even recognizing. So the whole point of meditation, if it works for you, is to just train yourself to start slowing down your thought processes and noticing what subconscious emotions are affecting how you're feeling, how you're thinking. Um, and with that, it allows you to build your ability to focus better. It allows you to sort of understand what emotions you're feeling at any given point. It helps with emotional regulation and, helps with understanding yourself too. Because you might notice recurring patterns of thought that start to pop up when you try to just focus on your breathing. And that can reveal some things about yourself, maybe some repressed problems and whatnot. But that sort of gets into like psychotherapy and whatnot, and you should probably see a professional, listen to a professional if you want to listen to that. I'm not a professional on that, so don't listen to me about any of that, anything involving like medical advice or mental health advice or anything like that. I'm completely unqualified for that. But yeah, the whole point of meditation is to help you be more cognizant of the subconscious emotions that might be affecting your behavior. It's super, super useful for me because, I don't know, in a lot of cases, procrastination in my case is motivated by negative emotions, right? So like a task is super painful, and because it's super painful, I want to engage in a habit that engage in some action that lessens the pain. Even though if I were being super, super rational, I could weigh the fact that like I'm actually causing myself more pain in the future, right? And if you recognize like it's some sort of negative emotion, some sort of pain that's causing you to procrastinate, you can then change things in your environment if you can notice that. Such as like doing things that make the task easier or more attractive or more satisfying, or just having systems that make it harder to go to really easy things like YouTube and whatnot to get that quick pleasure to numb whatever pain you're feeling. But yeah, I guess that's my spiel about meditation. Meditation can be helpful for some. It's always nice to experiment a little bit. You can get the Calm app. You can get Insight Timer. You can try out all these meditation apps, see if they work for you. I would probably try experimenting over the course of like 2-ish weeks, trying to meditate for like 2 to 5 minutes every day. See if you can get into the habit, and when you get into the habit, see if there's any benefits to you. Obviously with habits, if they're not beneficial, like don't do them just because like everyone says you should do them. Like test them in like a very like low cost way, and if you feel like you're getting benefits from them, if you can observe some benefits from them, yeah, keep doing them. But if you don't, like don't waste your time. Like I see this a lot also in like productivity circles. Like people are very I don't know what the word is, like bandwagony about like really like weird habits, like getting up at 4 a.m. or something like that. Like some things can work for some people, some things can't work for others. Like just try it, see if it works for yourself. If it does, do it. If it doesn't, don't waste your time. Yeah. I think I've seen that app as well, Adam. Yeah, yeah. Apps for meditation, super effective way of getting you into the habit of meditating. It's quite compelling. Oh yeah, cool. Even free and open source is also great. Yeah. I mean, I would for anyone watching this, I would just check out like any meditation app you can. Some are different. Like in general, it's mostly the same. Like it plays like nice calming music, and there's like a bell when the timer goes on and the timer goes off. But you can experiment around with, see what features you like and whatnot. But yeah, definitely there can be some benefits to some people is my main point. Test it out, see if it works for you. If it doesn't, don't bother with it. Yeah, so that's my spiel about meditation and my semi spiel about reviewing, even though I'm not really good at the things I'm preaching. That's a bit of a red flag, by the way. If you watch people on YouTube, if there's evidence that they can't really practice what they preach, in my case, that's very true. You should always take what they're saying with a grain of salt. Just because, I mean, if they can't demonstrate it in their own case, maybe they can't really demonstrate it at all. And even if they can demonstrate it in their own case, a lot of times that's survivorship bias. Maybe they're actually just really, really special, and it only seems to actually work for them. Or they're just confounding other things. But that's getting into a video topic I have about like pseudo-intellectualism and like YouTube gurus and whatnot, and like why you really should be like way more critical about people you observe on the internet, because it's all basically like theater, I guess. I mean, that's basically what anything on YouTube is. Anyways, yeah. So that's enough of me ranting into the camera. hopefully you enjoyed this study stream. Hopefully you got some value out of it. Hopefully you got some work done. And now you have more free time afforded to yourself because you got some work done. If you enjoyed this content and you got a lot of value out of it, please like and subscribe. Helps me with the algorithm, helps me get this out to more people. When I get this out to more people, we all get more group accountability in these study streams to show up and get work done because everyone else is also showing up and getting work done. So it benefits everybody if the channel, expands. Obviously, I also can potentially financially benefit in the future. I just want to get that disclaimer out there. Obviously, I have a financial interest involved as well. But yeah. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this content. And I guess that's where we'll wrap things up. A quick note, tomorrow I will be streaming at 12:30 to 4 instead of my normal 2 to 5:30 p.m., by the way, Eastern Standard Time. Just because I have different scheduling conflicts. Hopefully, if anyone's available, they can join me. If not, this will still be posted as a VOD. You can still watch it on YouTube after it's done. Anyways, thank you so much for turning out. I really appreciate it when anyone pops into these streams. It's super encouraging to see other people also wanting to get things done, and all of us sort of keeping each other accountable and getting things done. So I guess that's where I'll end it. I'll see you all whenever you next tune into one of my videos or tune into one of my streams. Again, the next one is 12:30 p.m. tomorrow. So yeah. Okay, cool. If you want to show up anyways, it's still fine. 12:30 to 4. You could probably show up for 12:30 to 1:30, 1:30. Yeah, I mean, you'll show up for the second half if you want. I guess that's where I'll end it. Yeah. All right, cool. Let's wrap it up. Okay, how do I end this? There we go.